Hey folks, we're back. I'm your host VKP. We're at Circuit World here in Blue Ridge, and yes, it's time for the All-Star Political Panel. I'm on the lean for a couple reasons. One, I didn't get in till 12 midnight. I stayed out at the stroke of midnight and didn't get into bed, I guess, till about 12:30, and so you got to pull me through.
Did you sleep in the parking lot?
We can handle that.
Did you turn into a pumpkin?
No, we went down to Atlanta last night. Lisa and I had an opportunity to go down to the inaugural gala for our new governor in Georgia.
Wow.
Whoa! What'd you wear?
I wore
Clothes.
a tie. Okay, very very nice suit.
Just a tie?
Well,
That was my question.
no, I wore the tie.
Where
It wasn't a penguin suit?
Yeah,
It wasn't a penguin suit?
Wasn't
It
it
was
black
black
tie optional?
optional. It was black tie
That's
optional.
good.
I was appropriate, you know. I had
You
French-
opted out.
Yeah, no, I had French cuffs. I had cufflinks.
Oh, wow.
We want a picture of that.
The selfies we have
I
to
got
see.
it. Yeah, I was dressed. I dressed. Anyhow, but it was great because I tell you what, I wish our new governor here in Georgia, Brian Kemp, well. I think many of you out there, regardless of where you're watching in the United States, followed this on a national level on what the media made out of it. A circus, our Georgia governor's race with Stacey Abrams, but this is just a regular guy. I mean, I'm just, the feeling I have last night, he said I want to give a shout out that the Brian Kemp campaign for governor said thank you and actually made the workers that volunteered and helped during the campaign, they made them really the VIPs last night. And I mean, there were so many young people that work in these campaigns. We got 159 counties, and you know, while we're campaigning in North Georgia, they're campaigning in Columbus and Savannah, and it's not till you have something like this that comes together. And I was amazed with how many young people that actually were involved with Brian Kemp's campaign. And what I liked last night is they made that group. This ball was really for that group that really worked so hard during the campaign, and I loved the way he did that, and their campaign did that. I mean, made them really the VIPs down on the floor. They got first at everything.
Was the young man there that was in the commercial with him?
I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
actually, there were several thousand people.
Really?
Yes. It was very.
It was in Gainesville.
So you didn't get to dance
it
with the
was
First
Atlanta.
lady?
It was down at
Oh, it's
CNN
Atlanta.
Center. It's CNN Center.
Oh,
You didn't get to
okay.
dance
I
with the
thought it was
First
in
Lady.
It was
Gainesville.
at the CNN Center, but I will say this: what was a real eye opener. Now, we went down Monday, and I'm going to get some subjects here, topics going, but we also went down Monday for the inauguration at Georgia Tech. Okay, so we went down Monday for the inauguration, and had an opportunity to sit next to former Senator Zaxby Chambliss, and spoke to him for a while Monday. But anyhow, it was packed, 7,000 people, and you look around and you say, you know what? People like this guy. They like this guy, and it shows. This is the way it showed. But now on the inauguration Monday was the swearing in of all the constitutional officers. So the lieutenant governor and the ag commissioner and labor, everybody was sworn in. And then Brian Kemp gave the inaugural address. Now, last night was, you know, I'm going to say 7,000 attended.
Any Democrats?
And you looked around the room, and what really spoke is people like this guy. They just like this guy, and everybody in the room. He has such a personality. Everybody in the room, you feel like you know the guy. So it was really a good time. I appreciate everything last night. It was really good. Moving right along, let's see if we have anything to talk about. So yesterday, I want to share this little, and I promise it's real short, but yesterday afternoon I was able to go to, went to a luncheon for the Gilmer Chamber, and Greg Frady, which Greg Frady is the head baseball coach for Georgia Southern, not Georgia Southern, sorry,
Georgia State
University. Georgia State University. I would see if Josh was awake over here. Georgia State University.
You know he was going to jump on that.
Greg Frady is the head baseball coach. You'll enjoy this. And for those of you that out there may not know, nationally, locally, we understand this. But he talked about, I think he said 10 years he was the Germany's Olympic baseball coach. He was the German Olympic baseball coach for like 10 years.
Wow.
And he said he's over here in Germany and he's got no channels on his TV that are in English.
Yeah.
And this team is terrible. He said this is a disaster, this team. And he comes home from practice and he's coaching over in Germany and he has no channels on TV that are in English except CNN. And he said, whether I want to turn CNN on or not, he said, it's the only one I have, okay? Yeah. And he said, and I go home in the motel room, and I'm debating packing and leaving. He said, because my team's a disaster. And he said, I turn on CNN, and I'm just really debating, and I'm praying about it and everything. And the next thing the guy says on CNN,
that'll do a lot of good.
The next thing the guy says on CNN, okay, our next caller, Joe McCutcheon from LJ. He said, and I'm in Germany, which I don't know if you know Joe, but you know, and he said, I'm in Germany. And it's like, okay, our next caller, Joe McCutcheon in LJ. And he said, I'm sitting there in Germany listening to Joe. Well,
my gosh.
Joe happened to be his coach in high school. You know, Joe coached through high school and stuff like that.
Morning Joe?
No, Joe McCutcheon show.
I thought we were talking about CNN.
No,
that's
that's
the morning smoke.
You put me to sleep already.
Right.
This is a North Georgia thing.
But it was really humorous, and I wanted to give that shout out to Joe McCutcheon because Joe McCutcheon brags. It says, sorry Joe, but says he is the #1 caller. You know, he's on Sean Hannity like 3 times a week and so on and so forth. But I thought that was just a funny little story.
So did he stay and did the team get better?
Don't know.
Oh.
You focus, the things you focus on, Bruce. Okay, so now that I've bored the daylights out of you, what's first?
Well, maybe
fly commercial.
Morning Joe, what they have to say? Morning Joe, what did they say this morning?
What did Morning Joe say this morning? They come out and they said Michael Cohen in a BuzzFeed bombshell last night. Michael Cohen is going to testify in front of Congress, and there's this big story that there's two officials inside the Trump campaign that have broke or whatever, and they say Trump instructed Cohen to lie to Congress. That was the big. That's
also about some polls in 15 and 16.
There was some money in a tennis bag or a Kmart bag with a.
And the Dems have immediately said, "Well, if this is proved, this can be obstruction of justice."
I think. All right. Okay. Now, not to go get down the rabbit trail that wouldn't be something understood, but let me just say this: Michael Cohen, former attorney for Donald Trump, did testify to Congress, and it said that he lied to Congress. All right. So we're up to speed on that.
He's an established liar.
He lied to Congress. So the point is here, supposedly he lied to Congress about Trump talking to the Russians and the timeline of building a Trump Tower in Moscow, all right, or whatever. Now they're saying that Michael Cohen is and there's others that corroborate that Trump instructed him to go to Congress and lie. And that would be obstruction of justice. And that would lay the groundwork for impeachment. I am still a believer that they're going to attempt to impeach this president.
They've been attempting it since before the inauguration.
They haven't had. I understand. When I say attempt, they've been laying groundwork.
Yeah.
Now they have an avenue to work from because the House is where articles of impeachment are created, and they will. So I think it's interesting. Here's what I think it is. William Barr, testified this week to Lindsey Graham's questions. Could the President of the United States obstruct justice? Would it be obstruction of justice for the President of the United States to instruct a witness at any time to lie? And Barr said, yes, that would be obstruction.
Like Clinton did.
It's only how many days after Barr that this bombshell BuzzFeed story falls from the sky.
One day.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at on it.
A lot of coincidences.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep.
So, where we want to go first? You guys tell me. Yeah, I mean, there's so many subjects. Where do you want to go, Rick?
Well, Jane didn't even know that there was a
You had to tell
a
everybody.
stand down.
I didn't do it.
Jane did not know that there was a stand down order.
Yeah, boy,
For
I
the plane
wish I
ride.
would have seen that.
It was a major burn. We're going to get a big bottle of aloe and send it to Nancy
Did they have
Pelosi.
it on camera? Did they actually watch her get on?
We
and
saw
have to
that the
get
bus
off?
driver was talking on the phone, and he got out of the bus and walked
I
out.
looked that up.
What was amazing?
I don't know who all was loaded on the buses.
It was all her staff.
Adam Schiff.
Staffers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Schiff
Adam
was,
Schiff.
was he already on the
Adam
bus?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Schiff was
No, it's Adam Piece of Show.
That's right. That's right.
No, that's my word.
And Nancy Pelosi.
Pencil Nick.
All right. So anyhow, so Schiff was loaded on the bus.
Oh,
because
sure.
Yeah.
About the time.
Yeah, and they're heading off to Afghanistan.
right.
And Egypt.
When we've
and
got our
Brussels
country
Brussels,
shut down.
Egypt, and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
How callous.
on a PO. Well, they've just been to Puerto Rico and had a great time. So why not
that
go
was their
somewhere?
vacation.
They had to get intel from the frontline commanders, NATO and
Right.
the generals.
They were
and-
going to be gone for 7 days, so they had the buses loaded. Baggage was being put under the little carriers and everything like that.
No, it was already
Right.
closed up.
and ready to go. And Trump sent out a
Yep.
letter.
Yep.
You have the letter, Rick?
I
How
do.
they delivered the
Why don't
letter?
you read it, Rick?
I wonder why.
I'm
I wonder
interested
why I
in
thought you had
logistics,
the
really.
letter. Okay.
Alrighty, here we go. Dear Madam Speaker, due to the shutdown, I'm sorry to inform you 30 minutes before
You're
the
losing.
flight that your trip to Brussels, Egypt, and Afghanistan has been postponed.
Like the State of the Union.
We will reschedule this 7-day excursion when the shutdown is over. In light of the 800,000 great American workers, this is really small print,
Yeah.
not receiving pay, I'm sure you would agree that postponing this public relations event and negotiating with me and joining the strong border security movement to end the shutdown. Obviously, if you would like to make your journey by flying commercial, that would certainly be your prerogative. I look forward to seeing you soon, and even more forward to watching our open and dangerous southern border finally receive the attention, funding, and security it desperately deserves.
All right. Let me ask you a question.
Sincerely,
Donald.
DJ.
Should we do dinner?
I like to fly commercial. Here's what you need to do. You guys need to go down there. You need to go through TSA and why they're scanning your bag.
That's right.
You need to explain to them why they're not getting paid. Look them right in the eye. You tell them why they're not getting paid. You go
See, they don't have
fly commercial.
What was interesting is the different reaction. When Pelosi said that there's going to be a postponed State of the Union, all of the networks, what a badass. Way to go.
Brass
You see who's
ovaries.
boss now.
Yeah.
Brass ovaries.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden when he reacts, they say, oh, that's
He's
childish.
just
That's
overreacting.
fifth grader.
Fifth grade.
Yeah.
You know what? Thank you. That was great because you're 100%. It's only 2 days ago that Pelosi is elevated all the way up to here for being this speaker that says, hey, we need to postpone this. We can't have it to be, you can't have a political platform to get your this out, that out,
and
security reasons.
She insulted
Yeah.
the Secret Service. They were very
Security
angry.
reasons, and so on and so forth. But just 2 days later, Trump basically does this. Actually, I still do not feel that she has the authority
To stop the
to
State
stop
of the
the
Union?
State of the
I
Union.
don't think so either.
I thought it's
don't-
always on her invitation.
It's invitation to address the joint
That's
house.
protocol.
But he could give the State of the Union anywhere. And what
Okay.
I would do is
Yeah.
put it in a huge venue, have 1 million people there, instead of
might.
everybody sitting there and her running her tongue over her
I
teeth.
think
like
he
last
Should he
time.
do
I
that?
disagree
Should he
with
do that and where?
I disagree with you.
Yeah?
I think. Well, first of all, let's keep the focus here. Donald Trump, the Donald Trump that they don't want to accept, he was elected in this country, okay? And I don't think we should allow the power to be brought down to one liberal congressional district in California. And that's who Nancy Pelosi is. One liberal congressional district in California.
But she's the speaker.
I understand that. I understand it. But here we have this, and you have the President of the United States. And I get infuriated. I pick things apart. I get infuriated because it's the State of the Union. And we have such a major loss of what the union is, and what it actually is and represents. I mean, the union is what makes, you know, Kansas relevant, Idaho relevant, Iowa relevant. It's the union, and that's why California is no more relevant than Idaho today.
So do you think he should wait till he can do it to the joint chamber?
Oh, hell, I think he should drive down there and go on the front door and let the video cameras show him being turned away. I'm here on time.
Now that's interesting.
How about you, Jane? What do you think?
I gotta think about that.
Let's plan a new venue.
That's pretty.
Rick, what about you?
Let's plan a new venue.
No, it's your day. The Capitol is yours.
I think
That's right, it is. You're right.
What do you guys think? Do you think he should do it, and where?
Oh, I think you should. I think it should be a State of the Union address to the people, for the people, and somewhere else.
What about this?
Instead of sitting in front of those nimrods.
We jumped over you. You said you had to think about it.
No, I've thought about it.
Okay, now Jane.
What happens if he just shows up? I mean, what's she going to do? She said, we're not inviting you right now, which is protocol. Has that ever happened in the history of the country?
It has
I
never.
don't think so.
No.
So she's put her, you know what, on the line, and he just says, he may not say I'm coming. The Dems would not come. I mean, I would just show up, you know, all hear ye, the President of the United States.
Well, you
I want to hear that.
You wonder if the
exactly.
networks would show up, though. You wonder if the networks would show up.
Because they'd be afraid somebody would
Oh,
get
no,
something
they'd
they
flinch.
wouldn't.
They'd flinch. They'd play chicken on it.
Well,
and they would flinch.
No, you
oh,
don't
no,
think.
there's no way those
Even
networks are not
Fox.
going to show up.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
they're going to show
Oh,
up.
they're going to show.
They're going to show up,
Yeah.
and then they'll be creating.
If I was
some
him,
kind of-
I'd have all the angel families behind me as I gave my State of the Union address.
Okay, well, wait a minute.
So you think he
All
should
right.
do it and,
All right.
and like go into
just
the
go
chamber?
in anyway.
I think he should do it, but at the border. I think he should just stand in front of the border. Maybe a few people paid to crawl
That's an
over
interesting idea too.
And have him
I think
take a
it'd be great.
beanbag and knock him
and
off
have
the
the
fence.
angel families there and the
You know,
border patrol
just
and all
think
that.
about it. If he showed up at Congress, I mean, what would she do? Would she go? Would she stand there?
Would she sit next
I
to
mean,
Pence
what would she
behind
do?
him?
Would she just? He'd have to say that he's coming. I mean, they have to get there. It's
Well,
an
you know,
evening event.
something's going to happen because it's scheduled for the 29th. So I think something's going to happen.
I think
You'd
that-
have to let the Republicans know because they'd have to be there. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. It could be a mess.
I
He
think
could
that the
lose
main
on that
thing
one.
she didn't want him to say was that they won't negotiate with him, they won't build the border, and it's more important for them
She's
to
not
have
gonna say
illegals
that.
around than it is American people being safe. And he
not gonna
doesn't
say
want. She doesn't want him to say that.
Okay, the State of the Union, she does not want the American people to see the Democrats sit on their hands. Now, we know the State of the Union is the party in power, stands and cheers and then sits down and the other party sits there, okay? All right, that's the optics. She does not want the optics. She does not want Trump filling the gallery, okay? She doesn't want Trump filling the gallery. She doesn't want, and I didn't know I was going to discuss this, so no disrespect, but you remember the last time Trump had the soldier's wife that was there, and she looked up and she was teared up, right? Mm-hmm. The optics of that played on TV for a week. Now, I don't want to say sensationalizing loss and hurt, but that hit home with America, remember?
It should.
All right.
It should.
The Dems do not want to be seen sitting down as Donald Trump looks up. And I think Reagan was the first to do this. I think Reagan was the first to use the gallery this way, in a powerful way.
Well, Obama used it all.
But Reagan started.
Yeah.
And he does not want to look up and point to the families and name them and ask them to stand, okay, next to Melania Trump in that box and watch the Democrats sit on their hands.
And let me
They
tell you,
don't
the
want
first
that
one
out
that he's
there.
going to, the first one he's going to point out is Singh's brother,
Exactly.
the policeman from
Yes.
California.
The Sergeant Singh from California, and his brother was at the border with him.
Exactly.
last week.
I saw that.
You know, this could backfire on her.
It's already
It already
I'm-
has, I think.
Really, I mean, it could really do her in because think of the precedent that she is maybe setting. That anytime the other, if you're not in charge of the house, You just don't get invited to do it. I mean, the president is pretty scary, but she can look like egg and anything else on her face. If really there's kind of an uprising, I mean, I don't think it would be right for us to have done that to Obama. I mean, that's
I think it would be brilliant.
The pale.
I think it would be brilliant if he just did not do the State of the Union message anywhere in Washington.
Well, I think
it
you're
would
right.
be
I think
brilliant.
he should go somewhere else.
He
should.
Yeah,
send
because
it
that's
Skype.
become
he's the
such.
people's president.
Okay,
sorry.
Okay. Back down. Bring it down.
I don't think there's an answer. Really.
I'm not going to. I love our capital. It's ours.
It
it's
is
not
ours.
theirs.
And they work for
The
us.
people's house.
That's
And don't let
right.
them run
That
us out.
angers me.
Think
And
of that.
actually, I know I'm a little different. Okay.
We'll debate that in the next
But
session.
the next session.
I like my State of the Union. I've liked them since I was 8 years old. I like the guy that comes in the chamber and says, "Hear ye, Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States."
Yeah, I like it
I
too.
like it. I want him to shuck and jive all the way down the aisle. I want him to
High-fiving.
high-fiving,
Knuckle
shaking hands.
bouncing.
Oh, everything. I want him to take all the time going down through there. I want him to get up there and say, "I'm here to report tonight. The State of the Union is good," and cheer. And I go for that. I like it.
I'm insulted
pep
though when,
rally.
like last time, you know, Nancy Pelosi and all of them sit there when, when like you were saying, the soldier's wife that was there, and they get this sour look on their face, and they don't even clap for this woman. That was just, that was
That's
sorry.
the optic you just said that I want. But this is.
But it didn't
our
bother them
capital.
last time. It did.
But
They
this
sat
is
on their
our
hands last
capital.
time. It didn't
Exactly.
bother them a bit.
And wait a minute. Then the cameras pan, and what do we do at home? We say, "Oh, that low-life congressman there. My God, he's still there." And that low-life piece of, and I wanted all that. Now, the venue, okay, and I'll tell you what I want Trump to do, and we got to end this subject because we got a couple other things. Don't have to end it, but here's what I want Trump to do, is I want him to do a real State of the Union. Now, I like my president. I love when he goes on campaign rallies. I love when the dude gets proud of himself and he says something and he struts this way.
I'm a
and that
billionaire,
way.
whatever
Right.
you know.
I love all that. I love all that because I know that just made the media so mad. I do not want him to do a campaign rally. I want him to do a State of the
Presidential,
Union.
is what you're
Yes,
saying.
sir. I want a State of the Union, and
Black
I want him
suit,
to lay
red
out
tie.
the details of what he wants to do, like a president should, and I think he should lay out the details on what is really happening at our border, lay out the details that this is costing us $155 billion to $200 billion a year to take care of these people. I want him to do that, but not a campaign rally. I don't want to go somewhere like, I'm okay with a venue,
Let's do both.
but I don't want it to just stop in cheers and cheers and cheers. I want a State of the Union.
If I
All right.
were the
I'll say
editor
that.
of the New York Times,
That's the
not
end of
that.
my thing on that, and I
I
think he
would
should show
go.
up.
He would make the speech. No Dems there. The headline would be huge. Upper fold. Shame. And have the Democrats empty.
Okay, where's
not
those headlines
there.
going to play?
They're not going to play in a regular liberal
Thank
rag.
you. You
Well,
move the venue, the headlines are not
It
playing.
never
the
does.
next
Nothing
day.
does. I don't care. It'll be,
Yeah, but if he does it,
He should go, even if they don't go, is
He
what
forces
I'm
the
saying.
CNN, he forces the NBC, and he forces CBS and ABC to focus in on that.
And
for
that
that.
they're not there. That's going to be obvious. Do you think they will boycott, or do you think they will
If it goes to
sludge
another- if it
in?
goes to another
if he
venue,
says no,
they
in
won't
the
respect
Congress,
it.
no, that's right. They won't respect it.
Well,
In
they
the
won't
Congress,
respect it as a State
it's
of
a
the
lot
Union.
more pressure if they have it in the Congress for them to show up. Don't you think? If he does it legitimately, if he goes to a rally, it's just a rally. He's not pressing their hand.
Who knows for sure?
No,
Maybe we should
don't
move on.
know. But what are we going to bet? Let's bet.
No, we don't want to bet right now. Let's be clear.
There's no gambling on the All-Star panel.
Yes, there is.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Come on,
No. Jane.
Let's predict.
Jane wants some action.
Let's
on
predict.
it.
That's right.
Yeah,
He's laying
All
odds
right,
today.
Jane. You know,
Action Jackson.
All right, roll up the sleeves.
Yeah.
Okay. So
All right, you got 10 chips. Where do you want to put your chips?
You know where I want to put mine.
Okay, so we're betting. We're voting.
Yeah,
I
we're
don't know what the
predicting.
bet
We're
will be.
predicting.
Let me frame the question. Will there be a State of the Union? It has to be a State of the Union address this month, will it be at the Capitol or a different venue? Or just not?
Yes, there'll be an address. Where it's going to be, I don't know.
But you got to step out on a limb and say
Well,
something.
all right, go ahead.
Okay,
No,
yes,
I
there'll be an address. Let's just say it's like the last address he gave from the Oval Office, and he has all the angel families behind him in the Oval Office doing the direct address. That's my prediction.
Okay, what about you?
I say it's going to be back to normal. I predict
He'll defy Nancy and do it in the joint chamber.
it'll be in the joint chamber, and the government will be open, and there will be a deal.
Oh, that
Before
is
the 29th.
big. That's
He's
all
going
your
for
chips.
all
are
the
I'm
chips.
going down. I'm pushing them all into the center,
Optimistic.
Jerry.
Show me the money. Show me the money.
Isn't that called Go Fish?
I don't know.
I'm all in.
Where do you go with
I'm
that?
going for broke today.
Well, I'm backing off. I think it is going to be in the joint
After she
chamber.
started all this.
I think he's going to give his address, and if we have to go, who's going to come? I mean, but I think he's going to do that. I really am not sure there's going to be a deal by then. I won't go that far. But,
Cindy
so I'm happy.
just
It's gonna
texted me
be
and said the feed is stopped.
Hey, is our feed went down?
gone down.
Is it red?
Okay.
All right.
Ask her, Cindy, can you see us?
Okay.
Great.
All right. So if it's running red and I don't have any other messages on it. All right. So let me say this. So you're all in. Rick, you got to come back.
He's big.
You put a big matzo ball out there.
I did.
Give us your theory. You can't just lay that out. What kind of deal? When did it? What happens?
Well, I think there's going to be enough pressure. I mean, the poll just came out today that the Hispanic community went from 31 to 50% in favor of a wall.
Really?
In favor of a wall, and that's
missed
all over
that.
the airwaves today. I think there's going to be enough pressure
Whoa.
that both sides are going to come off. They think they're going to be winners, and they're going to come off and say, okay, you know, we gave him this, but we got this. Not going to be a DACA deal. It's not going to be that big. But he's going to get his dough, and there's going to be pushback, and I think that it's going to end.
Okay. And you think it's going to end?
I do. By the
How does-
29th.
All right. How does
Optimistic.
Nancy? How does everybody? If it ends, how does Nancy Pelosi save face? If more than $1 is spent, how does she handle
This is-
that?
She's going to say, I got the government open, you know, then the money will fade to the
all
They're
background.
going to change the wording from a wall to a barrier because they've all been on news this week saying, well, we need a barrier, we need a fence, we need a blockage. So they don't want to say wall because Trump ran on build the wall. So now they're going to call it something
Anything but,
else,
yeah.
you know, call it,
Trump's
you know.
already said, I'll call it anything you want to call it.
Yes,
Call
but
it
see,
whatever you
they
wanna
think
call it.
that's their idea. So they just want to get his talking point of the wall has been built for 2020 off the table. So
That's
they'll
exactly
call it,
right.
They'll call it
What
Jack
now?
and
They wanna do
Jill.
what?
So
I mean, you're absolutely right.
They
And
gotta
it
do
all comes down, it all funnels down to one specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Promises made, promises kept. And they do not want that talking point available in 2020.
even though
They
he'll
need
use
something to refute.
Well, he's going to run on promises made, promises kept. What does then? Okay, I asked that. What if Trump doesn't get 5.7 billion and they hand him 1.6 billion?
They already did that.
Yeah,
That's
well,
that's
I
out
think they
there.
took it-
But what if he takes that?
No, I don't
won't.
think Trump will take that. I think that they're going to come up with maybe 2.5. I did read an
3.
article that the government has spent on those sound barrier walls that are all across the country.
Right.
Do you mean the?
Six.
We talked about that on
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
You already did?
Yeah.
$6
If you
billion.
watch the show on a regular basis,
We do
Bruce
our
and I-
research here. I mean, you
Bruce
know,
and I, Bruce
Okay,
and I
this
talked
is
about
the
that.
point
Yeah.
that we're
Oh, you
missing
have a
right
show
here.
on Wednesday.
We well, he was
I
sick.
know.
What
I
we're
didn't-
missing is there's 2 more caravans collecting up right now. One's already
Biggies.
starting out. The problem with this is it's starting to cost Mexico money because the whole area of Tijuana is full of trash. They've got sick people they're having to deal with. It's going to be worse and worse, and Mexico is going to put pressure for the wall themselves because it's starting to cost them money, and it's starting to hurt their people. And when the shoe gets on the other foot, it starts to pinch you. And I think that will also be a factor in something she could come up with. Well, you know, Mexico's having such a hard time, and they're our neighbors, and we're going to help out.
Mexico.
I mean, it's crap, but I mean, it's a basic fact that they're losing money. They're having to spend money on this immigration problem. So then it becomes a real problem for them, therefore the same real problem for us.
You want an interesting factoid?
Yeah.
Yes.
In 2017, the U.S. sent to NATO $686 billion. You think they could just carve a little bit out of that budget and
Yeah,
say,
like a
we're going to do it on
nickel's
our
worth.
wall here for our security?
All right,
Slam
well, you
dunk.
know, I'm a little on both sides. Something's very bad wrong here, and the American people should just pick up on this. That something's bad wrong because we are spending billions into the trillions into this massive worldwide military effort
Like
that for some
abortions in
reason
other countries.
that cannot be touched. We have kids, and I call them kids. I respect them as men and women, but you know, they're up to the point they're kids. We've got these kids all over
breaks
the
my
world
heart.
marching on borders today to protect somebody else's border, build somebody else's fencing, and we're struggling. I mean, what you just said, we're struggling to talk about whether we can get $5.7 billion to our southern border. They do not want borders, and they don't want borders. But let's move to.
Wait.
Go ahead. Okay. Well,
You didn't give us your thought on what was going to happen with the
Yeah.
with the State
Where's
of
your
the
matzo
Union.
balls?
We all threw it out
He's
there.
classic. I think he's.
I think you have an interesting take that it's going to end, be solved, and move along. I hope not. I hope that things stay shut down.
Okay.
Because I think we leave a lot that we haven't talked about. I think we leave a lot of the stuff that we haven't talked about that I think Trump's brilliant. Look at what's been exposed. I think the American people have been exposed to the fact that, oh, you mean a partial government shutdown equals 800,000 people?
Non-essential.
Right? So I think
Right.
that's been exposed.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean a government shutdown is costing $200 million a week? Is it a week or a day? I don't know, it's 1.5 billion or so, but is it a day or something like that in a week? 200 million a week that's not going out? I think he's exposing TSA. I don't care if you all go home.
Well, I think he should do a Reagan on them and say, you know, we don't need these people anyway.
No. They went on strike. So that's the flip on the Reagan.
Yeah, that is a difference.
They went on strike, so Reagan demanded
time.
they go back. These people are not getting paid. So if you're not getting paid for your job, quit. TSA, go home. Air traffic controllers, go home if you're not getting paid, okay? Because our military is cross-trained. Our military could be the TSA tomorrow.
That's right.
Period. We have enough military.
You're better off.
Exactly. We could have. You
We're
know,
already
Trump needs to
paying them anyway.
send the military down to do the TSA, and send the military to do the air traffic controlling, and the rest of these agencies. You know, we'll figure it out.
Well, have y'all already talked about the fact that a top presidential aide wrote a long memo saying, did anyone know, was aware that if they're off more than 20 or 30 days, then actually they cannot be asked back? And that could be, I don't know, that caused a big uproar, but that could be a way to just clean house. And then he went
need
into
to
how
clean
you couldn't
house.
find
It
all
came
that
out on
stuff.
Rush yesterday
Wouldn't
and
you-
the day
wouldn't you
before.
like- what do I keep saying on my show? Wouldn't you love for the 800,000 when it ends, only 600,000
Yeah.
come
I mean, we
Or
don't
how
need to
about
spend that.
more?
back? Right,
I mean-
and we cut 200. I mean, I think what is being exposed.
This could be
and,
one of the reasons he's keeping.
You know, I'm going to tell you this. I read this the other day, and it just burns me up when I watch the media that will not. Okay, average income here is
$77,000.
Wow.
Now there's like I forget. There's a percent that is 50,000 or a little lower. So you take husband and wife together. All right, husband and wife together, and let's say they're working for the government and they're at 42,000. All right, so Combined, they're at 84 household. Now, I'm going to tell you, if last pay period's check caused you to get in a food line within 6 days, and you brought home 82, you got 82,000 last year.
You're living over
something's
your
bad
head.
wrong.
You're living over your means.
So I think these things keep continuing to be exposed. They're creating bread lines. Have you watched this?
Yeah.
They're creating bread lines.
Well, what'd they say though? 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and could not handle an unexpected expenditure like $400. So,
and I think with the economy, it's a perfect time for them to find a job.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of
And a
jobs.
good job.
My friend Ross called me yesterday,
So-
and he was telling me, and I didn't research it to know the exact number, but Delta Airlines came out and has been complaining about flights are so far off because the government employees are not flying, and they're going to lose. It seemed to me it was $25 million over I don't know what period of time, but I mean.
Well, Nancy needs to sign up.
And these are non-essential people that are flying, obviously.
Well,
So
after Delta did their employees the way they did during the recession, I don't have too much.
I mean, look it up, folks. That's what came out yesterday.
Okay, what this is exposing is they're talking about how much the economy will lose, okay, based on these people not getting paid and that money not going back into
That's
the
right.
economy.
Guess whose money that is?
That's ours. Guess what that's called? Socialism.
That's exactly right.
So they're complaining that the socialist government will not continue to circle and eat itself.
Well, that's
You know,
all we've
but
been
the-
doing with
the-
quantitative
Do you
easing.
understand what I'm saying?
The point is that we understand what a dilemma this country is in. It is either going to be a country or it's not going to be a country, and that's a fact. If all of those caravans come over here and squat and dilute us, so you know it's not like they're burning the plantation yet. I mean, so they they don't have money this month.
that's a trigger word. Be very careful.
I know. Sorry. You know my point. What is at stake is our country, and I do not believe that's an overstatement.
I think you're right.
So we've got to give a little and give up a little.
We've tipped the scales.
well, I mean,
Because this government shutdown has exposed how much the government we're actually reliant on the government economy and not the private sector.
Which is scary as
okay, we have bumped up. I love the discussion. It's been great. Everybody's had great opinions, but we have bumped up on the time that if I don't do this now, you don't get your weekly topic discussion, and we are up at that time. We're running late.
Okay.
Bruce, what is your topic of the week, or winner or loser, and what would you like?
Oh, so top of the week and winner and loser.
Oh, yes,
Lordy.
try to put it together, Bruce. It's not that hard.
step it up. Step
Okay,
it up,
okay.
step it up.
Does anybody know what Agenda 21 is?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe next week we'll spend some time on that, but we
Lordy.
need to dive into that a little
we
deeper.
do.
Okay?
What is it?
Huh?
I don't know what it
That's
is.
how it works.
It's a UN-generated program
my
that's been in
God.
the U.S. since 1992,
Honey, it's scary as
signed
hell.
by George Herbert Walker Bush.
Right.
Anyway.
It's
Trilateral Commission.
terrifying.
Okay. Loser of the week, Tamika Mallory, one of the leaders of the Women's March. She was on The View, I believe it was, and she refused to condemn Louis Farrakhan.
Oh, right.
So the Women's March is like got this big anti-Semitism thing hanging over their head
everybody
now.
throw your
And a
hat
lot of
away.
sponsors, have dropped out, even though they still have like 125 sponsors. So loser of the week, Tamika. And winner of the week, all of Georgia, I think, especially North Georgia, who basically, stopped everything they're doing, pulled off the side of the road for the return of the body of Sergeant Christopher James Lockett, who was a Marine killed overseas. They haven't said exactly where yet, but his funeral procession came up from Atlanta to Murphy, North Carolina, and I think that was a
Absolutely.
very nice gesture by all the people.
Every county line all the way up to the state line, and then Murphy took it from there. Cherokee County, first responders, and Georgia State Patrol.
And citizens.
Citizens, and each and every. So, okay, Candace, the topic of the week, and then winners and losers.
Well, I don't have a topic of the week because I think that we've already discussed it, but my favorite winner this week, I don't know if you've ever heard of Laura Loomer. She's a
Yes.
reporter. She crawled over.
Was she Superman's secretary?
Maybe.
No, okay.
That's Lois
That's
Lane.
Lois Lane. Oh, yeah.
She crawled over Nancy Pelosi's wall into her vineyard estate, set up a tent with 3 people that are of Latino origin, and it was there trying to get her to talk to them and talk to her about.
Bring them some coffee.
I thought you wanted tacos.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
she says that walls don't work, so and maybe that's true because they crawled over it. They set up their tent, they set up their little camp there, and they were going to stay. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't speak to them. She had them removed by the police. So, and then of course that drew a response from Montel Williams, who we all care deeply about him and his opinion that, you know, that she was just a child and she should shut up by now, Laura Loomer, that is. But that was the greatest thing because she went and confronted the issue, the wall and the illegal immigrants, and are you going to talk to them? Are you going to address the problem? And of course she didn't. She had the police remove them. So
And the hypocrisy of Nancy.
of Nancy, yeah, because she lives in a walled community. This is in San Francisco, in a vineyard in San Francisco. The rest of the people in San Francisco are living with tent cities, excrement on the streets, needles on the street, and Nancy's living in an abundant Eden with walls around it. And this is, she won't address any of these problems.
That's the wealthiest area of San Francisco.
Exactly.
Pacific Heights.
So, she's my winner, and Nancy Pelosi is my loser again.
Rick.
I'm going to go last if you don't mind.
He warned
And I've
me.
already cleared this with Jane.
Yeah, I cleared him.
It's a conspiracy.
Just checking. Go ahead there, Jane.
Whoa.
Well, the topic that we didn't get into is quite all right because who knows. But I think the bar thing, the confirmation of all that stuff with bars, pretty interesting. I just watched the first day, and I'm at a wall. I really don't know how I feel about him. The thing that he's best friends and has been forever with Mueller, and Mueller would never do a witch hunt. I don't know whose side he's on, if he's even on a side. He tells us he's not. I don't know. That's the topic that would be interesting to discuss. Winners and losers. You know, when we were kids, we'd say, "Oh, you're just a loser." So I'm not going to do losers. The losers that are just losers, period, is Polluted and Chucky and Chuckles. They're just losers.
Nancy and Sluggo.
Nancy and Sluggo.
Well, I'm sorry. We got the other thing just going, and we had a great time. It was a great discussion, and I didn't mean to spend all the time. But William Barr was very worth us discussing.
We'll do it next. When is the vote?
Well, by that time it'll be a confirmation, and we will do that. We will discuss that because I'm with you. There's a thought. My first little bit of thought process is he just went and said, hey, okay, Mueller's good, and he let Carmela Harris and Spartacus and
Spartacus.
And he let them all those lefties say what they wanted to say, and
he seemed
I did like, and I don't remember is her name Carmela Harris? I did
Kamala.
I read already. So anyhow,
Well, you asked.
Picky.
Well, she now has her top hit parade.
Bada bing, bada boom, move along. So anyhow, I do like the fact that she was asking all those questions, and Barr finally said, well, how would you make that decision? The facts.
Yeah, right.
Did you see that when he said
Like Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts.
Yeah.
Okay, Rick, you deferred.
I deferred to the end.
I don't know
and
what kind of deal you made.
I made a deal with the devil last night, and that'd be my friend Debbie down in Florida. Anyway, I rehearsed this last night. I'm going to sing.
Oh my!
I'm going to
Everybody
sing.
quiet.
I'm going to sing, and I'm going to make an ass out of myself probably.
Don't interrupt him.
But I'm going for it. And this is in all due respect to David Bowie and the Space Odyssey. This is ground control to Speaker Nan. You're on the ground today, 'cause the Trumpster took your plane away. And here, as you sit there with the shift head, far, far away, Speaker's house is blue, yet there's nothing she can do except build the wall and open the government.
Yay!
ground
Right on.
control.
Who says we don't
Well,
have
then you said
satire?
there's nothing you can do. I wanted the music.
Dun, 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 dun.
That was
Way
good.
to
That
go.
was
That was
great.
excellent.
Way to go there, Ziggy Stardust.
And we're gonna have to top
And
that.
then next time, Ziggy Stardust, you
Check
gotta
it
wear
on
the
iTunes.
Okay, folks, it is time. It is 9:27. We've got to get to our break because it is time for North Georgia Senior Living with Jesse Barton, the Community Relations Director at Cameron Hall. And so we got to get to that. But I think
And I was clapping.
your watch.
I hate this
Watch
thing.
off.
I hate this thing. When I was clapping for him, it said, "Are you falling? Do I call an ambulance?"
Believe me, anybody watching probably felt the same way.
This is an ad for Apple. Hey, what's going on?
I don't know how many messages that I'm going to get that says, while Rick was singing, our dog said, "Up and watch."
Started howling.
All right, this is wrong direction, wrong direction. All right.
Jesse, aren't you glad you're not having to do the segment with me?
Okay. So, anyhow, we got to go to
He's
commercial.
cutting us off.
No, I think the President of the United States should do the State of the Union address. He should do it presidential. I think he should keep the government shut down till we get full border security, everything we want on our southern border, barriers, everything that's necessary, and I think he should keep the government shut down. I do think the articles of impeachment are well on their way. I think they're coming, and I think in 2020, next election, the media will be talking about the first president trying to run for a second term while impeachment hearings are being at the same time.
Wow.
These people will not stop, folks. They're not going to
No,
stop.
they're not gonna stop.
They're not going to stop. This man
Unless they're in
he
jail.
couldn't even buy the Clemson Tigers a hamburger.
Without
Okay.
it. Yeah, we'll give
Racist,
them a lobster
racist.
dinner.
No, I'm just
It was
serious.
so
I
ugly.
mean, they will not
That
stop.
was racist.
will
That they
not
said
stop.
it was racist.
They said
in
it.
my
Yes,
view.
that's right. You're right.
Now, Shift said last night, and Nadler and all of them, that this recent development with Cohen and obstruction really has all the earmarkings of what they maybe have to move forward with impeachment. Trust me, they're not going to stop. That if you go out that door and you think for 1 minute that these people are not going to stop till
No,
they
they're not.
actually see him leave the White House, or they make him leave in some way.
I think they've underestimated the American people because they love Trump because he's finally got a
With you.
spine.
A group
With
of us
you.
do.
Well, I
There
think
is
that
an equally,
the people that are really not liking
vocal.
him, a lot of them are not voters. They don't vote.
Well,
All right, well, that we're going down the road, but I just think it's nonstop, and I'm nonstop, and I think they're going to go after him, and it's never. I don't know if it's going to end. I will tell you.
Oh, you know it'll end because the Senate will never pass.
Here's the guy you got to pay attention to. Okay, you got to cut through all the stuff, and believe it or not, whether you like it or not, you got to pay attention to Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, who
Lindsey
flipped
Graham,
last night?
Lindsey Graham holds a whole lot of cards on the Senate side. A whole lot of cards.
I think he's trying to be
All right,
balanced.
and you gotta
Seem to be.
You gotta watch Lindsey Graham. He holds the cards on the Senate side. Okay. Take a break. We'll be right back. North Georgia Senior Living. Thank you guys, as usual, for such a spirited conversation. Thank you for viewing. Jesse's up right after this, and don't go away because then there'll be time for our Pet of the Week from the Humane Society of Blue Ridge. All right.